Hello and welcome to the SciFirst MovieTalk episode. In this episode, I'll be discussing the 1973 British comedy and follow-up movie, Holiday on the Buses, being the last in a trilogy of movies following both the 1971 original On the Buses and its sequel, 1972's Mutiny on the Buses, as directed this time around by Bryan Izzard, and again based on the hit British TV series of the same name, which originally aired from 1969 to 1973, spanning a total of 74 episodes over 7 seasons. And in fact, also written, once again, by the show's original writers, Ronald Chesney and Ronald Wolfe. So, at the risk of repeating myself even further, because I think I've said quite a lot of that spiel in the other 2 reviews I've done for this series. If you haven't seen my review for the first 2 movies in the series, then for context, this film is a spin-off from the TV series and not a continuation. It exists in its own canon and forms together with the first movie and indeed its sequel, a sort of series on its own, which, whilst having a couple of minor plot holes, for a British film series of that kind of era, does form quite a rounded, kind of decently rounded trilogy of films. Okay? And I'm going to include some clips as well, by the way, like I've done with the other 2 films. So hopefully you'll get a few laughs out of this episode as well, if not for my stumblings and mishaps. But again, indeed, whilst the film is not a direct continuation of the series all told, it does feature all of the regular cast and characters from the series, and indeed is very much in line with the comedy and feel of many of the series episodes. So much so that they feel like a continuation of the series, and unless you kind of studied the episodes very closely, given, you know, everything that goes on, I doubt that the casual viewer would even tell, you know? Well, apart from the fact that this entry isn't actually set in a bus depot.
Here, where's the Martha?
Now, that's another thing. That child shall be in bed.
Look, I only let him stay up because he said he'd have a surprise for his Uncle Stan.
Oh, has he? Where is he?
Bang! Bang! Bang!
Oh. He's surprised you all right there, mate. Yeah.
So, then, Holiday on the Buses continues the exploits of our 2 likely lads, working for a bus company. Stan, as played by Varney, and who's a bus driver, and Jack, as played by Bob Grant, who's his conductor. Back, again, when buses had those, of course. I don't know if that was a thing around the world, whether or not the other places still have them, but in the United Kingdom, it was a big thing that you'd have to pay the conductor at the back of the bus and then go sit down. The driver you would never actually have any contact with. Nowadays, it's the driver that does all of it, or even a machine, so hopefully you'll kind of get the gist as we're going along if you haven't already. But I'm not quite sure if it's a thing from other places. Yeah. But anywho, however, this movie sees them cause one calamity too many when they inadvertently destroy 2 buses and the depot manager's car. They then find themselves out on their cards along with their inspector, Inspector Blake, as played once again by Stephen Lewis, unemployed and looking for work.
Got a job, look.
Well, lovely, eh? Oh, Stan, you can't go away for the whole summer and leave your lovely home.
Well, I've got to get a job, haven't I? One minute you're moaning.
They do indeed find some work, working as the bus crew at a Pontins holiday camp. But upon arrival, who would they find working as the camp's chief security officer? Yep, you guessed it. None other than Blakey himself.
Oh, no!
Oh, no.
Butler, I don't believe it.
So, with the gang back together, Stan invites the family, as you would do, up to the camp to stay for a cheap holiday. Cheap, of course, being appealing to his brother-in-law, Arthur, as played once again by Michael Robbins. And so, indeed, the whole family make that trek down to the camp for on Arthur's ill-fated motorcycle.
And listen, Arthur, look, I can get you a special reduction. Stan says if we go down for a week, he can get us a special reduction.
No!
Are you sure that's all it'll cost? Yeah. Listen, all the entertainment's for free. It's marvellous. Yeah, well, it sounds okay. How do we get down there? Well, it's a good train service. Yeah, it should only cost you about 14 quid in fares.
14 quid? Oh, no, it won't.
With Stan's sister, Olive, as played by Anna Karen, his mum, Mabel, as played by Doris Hare, and Little Arthur, as played by Adam Rhodes, Stan's nephew, and the rest of the gang set upon the camp, it is only a matter of time before fun and frolics ensue, often with disastrous, if but hilarious, consequences.
You know, Arthur, once he gets on that bike, he really gets moving.
Arthur, are you sure you can't help?
I'm sorry, mother-in-law. You know I mustn't, not with my operation. You shouldn't have loaded so much luggage. It's straining the clutch.
It's not doing mine any good neither. Come on, love.
So, a little bit of history, but just to kind of get the context, the holiday camp's a bit of a, I don't know if they're unique to the United Kingdom, but they're certainly a bit of a niche, shall we say, that we had back in the day. From about the 1940s onwards, through to the 1970s, into the 80s, holiday camps in the United Kingdom were a popular kind of form of holiday with holidaymakers, with their heyday being very much in the 1950s, the 60s and the early 1970s. Before people's tastes in holidays kind of changed and travel to more exotic destinations kind of became much more accessible, of course. Such camps were once a one-stop shop for the British holidaymaker, the ultimate in all-inclusive fun, sort of like an early package tour, with all you could need under one roof, so to say. Mini-golf, boating, swimming, sports, entertainment and tons of family fun. These holidays catered for the whole family, back when all people wanted basically from their holidays was donkey rides, sandcastles, bingo, ballroom dancing, some jelly deals, and not forgetting the Mr. Muscle and the glamorous granny competitions, you know? I don't think that it would be everybody's cup of tea these days. But if you didn't enter every competition, go in, visit every local day trip, watch every free show, join in the karaoke and get so sunburned you could be a lobster, it just wasn't a holiday. And Holiday on the Buses serves to provide us with a snapshot of life at one of these camps with a twist of humour only the On the Buses crew could provide. Now, it isn't, however, quite as funny or even as well paced as its two predecessors. In fact, even though they themselves had very thin plots, those movies, that in this film it is next to being completely absent of a plot. Well, there is the old exhibition of old-time dancing. Yeah. What we actually get is a series of antics and tomfoolery centred around the family's time at the camp, with no real aim but to provide us with an insight into the holiday. The comedy doesn't always work as well as it once did. It is a lot more slapstick, even by this series' standards, you know. But from a few false starts as we travel with Jack and Stan to the holiday camp, it does get much better when the rest of the family turn up.
You can swim, can't you?
It's Monteini. I've lost the bottom half of it.
You what?
The comedy that we had seen previously with Jack and Stan just isn't the same here. This isn't a bus depot, you know? And in some respects, their roles have become secondary. Even the inspector, who had become a firm favourite of the series, really doesn't feature in the same way as previously, as previous efforts, with his comedy and that of Jack and Stan being very more incidental than the planned chaos and mutiny that we had previously loved. Jack and Stan's involvement mostly revolves around them picking up women and their cheesy pickup lines. They're not quite the layabout deviant scamps that, you know, we had come to love and expect as part of this series. Stan is still unlucky in love. I mean, Jack is still as lecherous as ever. But to some extent, we are just kind of going around the same long-running jokes, which are honestly starting to feel quite tired at this point. The comedy centred around the family is excellent though, and is totally hilarious at times. The fact that we have followed them for so long through the series, and indeed the movies, I think makes everything work so well here as we follow them on a holiday. And indeed a holiday where traditionally the whole family would go. You know, it seems kind of fitting that we would catch up with them here for one last outing, you know? And it is certainly charmingly nostalgic to see. Oliver, that's my son. Olive and Arthur are brilliant to see in this together this time around. Their brand of relationship was tentative at best, you know? But this time, their fighting and sniping at one another seems perfectly fit for the occasion. And together, they really do make quite the comedy duo and double act. It is nice to see, I think in this one, Anna Karen and Michael Robbins really having a lot more fun with their characters, and it is so evidently clear when you watch this movie.
Arthur, I think perhaps the smell of paint might keep me awake all night.
Oh? Well, the state my back's in, nothing else will.
Nothing else ever does.
I can't find it. Arthur, I can't find it.
Here, what are they up to in there?
Oh, Arthur, you'll have to help me. I can't find it.
Nothing. If you can't find it.
It is also notable, as I think it might also be the first time that the mum has ever been given a name. Up to this point, I believe she has only ever been known as Mum. However, we are told in the movie that her name is actually Mabel. Now, for you aficionados out there, do feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I may have got that wrong, but I believe that's right.
Oh, Arthur, shall I take my nightie off?
Here, who the hell are you?
Oh, no! What? Oh, what's going on here?
It's a mistake. I'm sorry.
A mistake, you brazen hussy?
No, I couldn't see.
Yes, I know, I've heard it all before. Out, go on out. Come here, you. No wonder you made me take my sleeping tablets. You're a sex maniac, you beast.
Overall, this is the weakest of the On the Buses movies, you know, having very little in the way of a solid aim and really just hopscotching along from one calamity to the next. It is, however, very nostalgic, with a nod looking back to one of Britain's golden eras of domestic holiday. Having been to many of these camps in my younger years, not when they were in their heyday, but still enough that many elements of the film do bring back some very memorable and heartwarming memories of family holidays long since past. In the end, it may not work as well as its two predecessors at all. It could have been much better than it was, but it serves as one last British postcard innuendo and smut-filled outing for the full On the Buses crew, which was a perfect nod, you know, to the end of the series, I think. I mean, the series continued a little bit further on. Some of the cast members didn't return, however. So this is the last time that all the cast members did actually kind of work together, if you know what I mean. So with that, it is kind of a nice tribute end, if you like. And it is a great nod to the Great British Holiday, you know. So that brings me to the end of this episode. Many thanks for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like. Please do hit that subscribe button for more movie reviews, trailer reactions, and other movie-related content. Absolutely loved having here at SciFirst MovieTalk, and definitely love to have you back. But most of all, just thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.